Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ and as part of our Sundance 2023 coverage, we are going to be diving into the movie Cat Person. We have a new movie from Susanna Fogel. She's the director behind The Spy Who Dumped Me and also co-wrote Booksmart a couple years back. I actually really like the work of Susanna Fogel. I think she has a distinct point of view, a style, a voice, and it's really good to hear. So she decided to adapt Cat Person, the 2017 viral story from The New Yorker that kind of was a big deal when it came out. It's a horror story about bad dates. It's also a horror story about envisioning the worst. There are some people out there who expect the absolute worst to happen. And it's fair to assume that, especially in 2023 when the world is at the craziest it feels like it's ever been. So I get it. So this movie did serve as a good horror story, a good, this is what happens when you fear the worst. Though Cat Person has some pacing issues, it has some script issues, some of the dialogue is not my favorite, but overall, I did enjoy the film. I did have a good time with the ride, especially that finale, where things go, they take a left turn, a right turn, U-turn, and then make another left turn. It is pretty intense what this finale is, but it also leaves me going, whoa, this movie feels like a complete opposite of another Sundance indie favorite about the horrors of dating and being a woman. We'll talk about that closer to the end. But overall, I will say Cat Person is an okay movie. It could have been a better movie. It could be a far worse movie, but it's firmly in the middle for me. Emilia Jones, the actress who is behind Coda, one of my favorite films of the last couple years and the Best Picture winner from that year, she is playing Margot, a 20-year-old college student who's just trying to date, but also keeps envisioning the worst situations ever. She has moments where she's sitting there thinking about letting a dog into her dorm and then having a horrible dream about that dog just devouring some evil person in her dorm. Yeah, this is kind of her life. She keeps envisioning the worst. That also really springs up when she meets Robert, a man she has an interest in, who's kind of awkward at flirting, but she's super awkward, but she also keeps envisioning the absolute worst scenarios. They go on a one date, we'll just talk about, I don't want to spoil things, but they go on one date that ends up insane, like, things get broken, she keeps thinking he's going to attack her, and it just leads to awkward moments, but they keep trying, and we see how they start developing, and we start seeing how these two people are maybe not the perfect fits for each other, and then it gets worse, and then it gets worse, and we start seeing Margot's fear start manifesting in horrible ways, and we start seeing her kind of do crazy things to avoid crazy things happening to her, and the insanity that leads. I like that this has a bit of a farce element to it, where we're seeing, like, Margot just keep messing things up, but I also understand her fear. A lot of the stuff is justified. Again, I want to talk about a movie that I think this feels like, but it feels like a reaction to, but I think this was a good lesson of, if you think the worst is going to happen, the worst is going to happen. You can't put that energy out into the universe. I understand wanting to protect yourself. I understand being hesitant, but Margot, girl, you kept getting into shit because you listened to your overly, I almost said overly woke friends, but your overly cautious friends, these very modern type of girls who I get the fears that they have, but this movie kind of teaches you a lesson of going, hey, breathe. Not everything's going to be the end of the world, and I like that. I like that this movie served as a, hey, calm down a bit, because we need to remember that. After Cat Person had its debut at the Sundance Film Festival, I kept hearing comparisons to Promising Young Woman, another Sundance film, an Oscar contender. I mean, Carey Mulligan was a big deal, Emerald Fennell. I really like what Promising Woman had to offer, but that is a bleak, grim, depressing movie. I know the ending, it's the ending, and that's what they wanted to sell, but I found that movie to be so mean-spirited at times. Cat Person is almost a reaction to Promising Young Woman. It almost feels like a response. Promising Young Woman is the worst case scenario in all aspects, but it feels like Cat Person is dealing with a bunch of characters who saw Promising Young Woman, who have the fear that this is going to happen to them, so they start acting different to avoid men, to avoid the good guys that could feel bad, but maybe they are just good guys. Yeah, there's a lot of layers to this, and I really think movies like Promising Young Woman has instilled a lot of fear in us. I know society has also done that as well. We hear so many bad horror stories. We saw people who created animated series go into domestic violence situations against people they're trying to go on dates with. We truly live in a society that it's hard for women, but putting the fear out there, manifesting the worst negative energy could bring worst negative energy to you. And that's what I really thought Cat Person was trying to warn us about. Not everyone is out to get us. The doom of all of us is not just around the corner. We need to just learn to live life. Focus, breathe, go through the motions. And I actually really thought that this had a more positive vibe to it. The ending is still very intense. It's still in your face, but it isn't as mean. I felt like Promising Young Woman loved being in the worst. It reveled in being the saddest, most harsh, most realistic story, where Cat Person goes, I get that those stories exist, but we also need to realize love and positivity can also fight a lot of the negativity as well. I know this isn't going to be the most politically correct review. I know I'm kind of diminishing some people's feelings and also saying maybe you should just be happier. I get that that's not the best point, but that's kind of what I took away from Cat Person. There was a lesson to be learned here. I wish the movie was tighter. I wish there was better script moments, because some of that dialogue from some of these Gen Z millennial characters is the absolute most insufferable things ever. But for the most part, I did walk away feeling something from this, and I did not expect that. Alright, that is my review for Cat Person. I think this is a pretty strong film. I think there's going to be people who absolutely hate this, and people who absolutely love it. And I kind of like that the movie lives in that way. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I could see the bad, and I could see the good. I just wish it was just a bit better of a movie, a bit tighter, a bit more like had that impact. If those dialogue was better, if the pacing was better, everything would have hit me a bit harder. But overall, it was okay. What did you guys think of Cat Person? What do you think of this review? Share your feelings down in the comments below. Subscribe to this channel if you do enjoy. Make sure you guys give us a thumbs up as well. And let's talk about Cat Person down below.